Columbus, Ohio, this is the Get Business Credit YouTube channel with your host, Josh Van Horn. Subscribe now and hit the bell notification right now to stay up to date as soon as we release new business credit gems. Take it over, Josh.
Just give a minute for everybody else to tune in. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you guys hear me okay? I came in a little bit early. It used to be at 8 or 7:40, I should say. You guys, if you can hear me okay, put number 1 in the chat section, okay? You guys just hang in there. We're just waiting, making sure that the live gets out there. And in this live, you guys go ahead and put any questions you guys have about business credit at all. If you guys have any questions at all, put it in the comment section. This live is only going to be probably about 20 or 30 minutes long because I have another consultation in about 25 minutes or so. And if anybody wants me to pull their Credit Safe or Equifax report, go ahead and put it in there as well. Put your business name and I'll pull it live. And while we're waiting for others, I'll go ahead and answer a question. So put any questions you guys have in there as well. Okay. Major Magic says, what is the best secured business credit card to go with? I am looking for one that reports to DNB, Experian Business, and Equifax Business. Thanks in advance. That'd be, I would say, Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo has a secured card. However, hang on, let me turn this down. Hear an echo myself. So when it comes to secured cards, they report not just secured cards, but even like say American Express, any of these business credit cards that I have, most of them report, not all, but most will report to the Small Business Financial Exchange. It's rare for business cards to actually report directly to the bureaus, although some do, but most do not. Most report to the Small Business Financial Exchange, and then that data gets implemented, put into your Experian or your Equifax report. Like for instance, I'll show you on here what Walmart's credit, right? And I'll show you what it actually looks like, the Equifax report. So if I pulled Walmart's business credit, you're going to see here there's enhanced data. Then enhanced data is actually cards that's reported to Small Business Financial Exchange. So see how it says there is financial payment data and enhanced scores available on this report. So when I click that, you can see this is all Small Business Financial Exchange data from Equifax that Equifax implemented. You would think, though, like Walmart being so big that they don't have derogatory, but look, they have derogatory $1.8 million that Walmart owes. That's, it's pretty standard, though, for big businesses, But basically, to answer your question, I would say if you just want to get a business credit card that is secured, I would go with probably Wells Fargo. That's going to be probably your best bet. Now, keep in mind, though, that don't focus too much about like what's reporting to Dun & Bradstreet. Dun & Bradstreet is actually not that important. It's not even used by most underwriters to make any type of business credit decisions. What's more important is always going to be your Experian. Your Experian business credit is actually what most of these underwriters use, as well as the government and small business financial exchange, or not small business financial exchange, but SBA. So Experian's the only one that actually has a small business FICO score. So that's what's used when you're trying to get an SBA loan. So if you're trying to get an SBA loan, or you're working towards that, then you need to focus on building up your Experian business credit. By far, it's most important. Now, it also is going to depend on what your goals are. So if your goal is to get, say, like one of my students in my mentorship, he got his whole goal for joining my one-on-one business credit mentorship was he wanted to get a fleet of 10 G-Wagons. And this happened like 7 or 8 months ago. Not when he joined. He joined about a year ago. But after about 3 or 4 months into the mentorship, we were able to get his business credit solid enough for him to be able to go right into Mercedes in LA and get approved a fleet line of credit with Ally. And he was able to get that no PG, 10 brand new G-Wagons, and he does that with a fleet, doing almost like Uber Black, but it's a different type of car service that he works with, like say American Express, executives, or like the Centurion Black, for instance. Like, you know, I have the Centurion Black card. If I'm flying somewhere, I can request to have like a G-Wagon pick me up at the airport, and it doesn't cost me anything. It's one of the perks, the concierge perks. So they subcontract that out to a third-party company, and that's what this guy actually does. And he works for this. He started the livery coach service, and that's why he got the 10 G-Wagons. But then he needed working capital as well to be able to pay his drivers. So like he has contracts with like Microsoft and just picking up different executives, you know, to and from Silicon Valley and LA, different places. So that's why he needed the 10 G-Wagons. He got those. After that, then he needed to get working capital. So then we got like, you know, got him gas cards, right? Covered for his drivers to cover the fuel, and those are typically 30 days to pay back. But then he used Corpay, got approved for Corpay, $100,000 on this. So then you can actually liquidate that and pull that off. So then you have working capital to be able to say pay payroll. So there's all different strategies, and that's what I do in my with my one-on-one business credit mentorship students. Everything is strategy based. So it's not like I'm just gonna have you go and apply for anything and everything. No, it's gonna be based on what your goals are, and I do that free phone consultation. That's where I determine if one, I can qualify you to join the mentorship. But if I do qualify you and you were to join, then that's when we start going over the strategies. So to be able to get a lot of these, say, fintech cards, not all of these are fintech. Some are, you know, American Express Platinum, just traditional personal guarantee. But we try to exhaust all no PG options first, you know. So let's see here. Let me go back to there. Just Google it. Wells Fargo no longer offers secured business credit card to new applicants. Yeah, so you already have to have an account with Wells Fargo. I don't get that question very much on a secured card. What is your exact reason why you want to get a secured business card? Because, you know, years back it made more sense, but now there's so many other options that you could actually do that would work the same way. So even like the NAV Prime card kind of acts as a secured card, but it's a net one day, but it's still reporting to the bureaus, and it actually reports to all the bureaus. So, you know, that's an option as well. Let me see here. I'm starting a new LLC. Other than NAV and Fair Figure, what might you recommend? Okay, so to answer your question real quick, I'll just go through that real quick because that's what I was going to do on this live anyways. So if you already start your LLC or your INC or C Corp or S Corp, you get the Fair Figure Premium account. That's just a good business credit monitoring service. You get that. You get the NAV Prime. I would also get eCredible, But don't get the e-credit. eCredible has two different ones. They have like the Business Lift and then the Business Lift Plus. The Business Lift Plus is unnecessary. Don't need to get that. It's a waste of more money. And I think you can use GBC 25 and get like $5 off a month. So it's only like $15 a month. That you can actually use to report several other trade lines that you normally wouldn't. So if you have like GoDaddy or Namecheap or any cell phone service, you can connect that and get that reported to Equifax and CreditSafe. Okay, so that's going to be helpful. But you just, even if you don't do that, it's going to get you still one trade line across all the bureaus. All right, so those three are the three main that I would get just as your foundation trade lines, right? Then I would get the CEO Creative. And this is because it reports to CreditSafe and Equifax. So especially if you're trying to get equipment leasing or no PG business auto loans, most of the underwriters are going to be actually using Equifax and CreditSafe to make their credit decisions. Now, if you're trying to get, say, industrial supply like Granger or manufacturing credit line, then that's when you need to work on your Dun & Bradstreet. But if you get Fair Figure, NAV, and eCredible, those three alone will get you enough for the Paydex score, even though scores, most of you guys know I hate talking about scores because business credit scores really don't matter when it comes to funding. Like you could have anybody could start an LLC today, get NAV, Fair Figure, eCredible, and say Uline, right? And come back to me and say 90 days. You're going to have like an 80, 90 Paydex score, 80, 90 Experian Intel score, and probably close to about 600 on your Equifax. And then say on CreditSafe, you're probably going to have an enhanced score, which is like same as like the Paydex score, the Intel score. It goes from 0 to 100. In fact, I'll show you how they look at it. The red, it's no score. And then 1 to 20 is considered very high risk. And then 21 to 29 is high risk. And then moderate risk is 30 to 50. Low risk is 51 to 70. And very low risk is 71 to 100. So anywhere from 51 to 100 is good. But you're going to have that across the board. If you just get the NAV, Fair Figure, and eCredible, you're probably going to have a score somewhere around 60 to 65. You know, I'm not saying ignore scores altogether, but scores literally don't mean much because you can have near perfect business credit scores and then go try to apply for PG or no PG business credit lines and you'll still get denied. Scores are just something to look at, but don't put like all your efforts and thoughts into focusing just on scores. In fact, some of my biggest credit line approvals were when my scores were low. Like say like Divvy gave me 150,000. They don't give those high limits nowadays, but this was back in like 2020, 2021. But I only had I don't remember exactly. You'd have to go back and look at the older videos, but I think I had like 8,000 or so, 8 or 10,000 or so in my business checking account at that time, and they gave me 150,000. You know, so nowadays they're not going to do that. They've tightened up, just like almost all the underwriters. But that being said, a lot of these fintechs will look a little bit at your business credit, but a lot of it comes down to your soft pull on your personal credit. Not all, but most will do that. But they want to see the account mix. So like this card, where's it at? Capital on Tap. Everybody wants to try to go apply for Capital on Tap. Capital on Tap is issued by WebBank. WebBank actually, what they're underwriting, you could have an 800 personal FICO score and soft pull on your personal credit. And you could have great business credit and they're going to look at your Experian, but you could still get denied because they want to see your business credit have a good account mix. Okay, so when I say account mix under trade lines, you can see here, Walmart's for instance, how as like agriculture, mining, construction, manufacturing, information, transportation, utilities, wholesale trade, retail trade. These are the different categories. So on all bureaus, you want to have a good account mix, just like on personal credit. It's important to have good account mix. So that's why I'd recommend you to get the CEO Creative, because that's going to be a good account mix as well. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend buying products so much with them unless you already have a website. But if you don't have a website, they do website designing, and it's a net 30 account, especially if you're a new business or you already have a website, but maybe it needs a redesign. They charge $20 a month or $30 a month for the website. You really can't beat it. Even if you sell online, they do one for $99 a month, you know. So you want a professional website too, because underwriters will look at this. And not just that, so like that's one trade line, but then I would do coast to coast office supply. Reason why I would say with them as a starter vendor, because they report to Experian. It's very rare for the starter vendors to report to Experian because Experian is so strict when it comes to being a data furnisher. They do report on the first of every month, so they're good. A good account mix. Then I would get a Uline account. Uline's always going to be. I wouldn't spend much, $50 to $75. And when you go through the account process, you fill out your account fully, just as if you were going to, you know, order something or whatever. But just like $50 to $75. And then at the end of that, when you go to checkout, it'll say, how do you want to pay, by credit card? Or there's a small area bubble that you're going to click that says pay by invoice. You're going to click pay by invoice. What's likely going to happen if you're a new business, you're probably going to get a call and an email that says credit hold. And then what they're going to do is they're basically going to call, verify a few things, but they're likely going to tell you you're going to have to prepay for the first couple months or the first couple orders. And then they will ask you what you want to do with the order. Just tell them, okay, I'll talk to my partner or something, and then I'll just pay by credit card, because they're going to want you to pay over the phone. Don't do that. Just tell them that you'll go back on the website and then you'll process it yourself. But actually you're not. You're just going to let it sit. You just let it sit. It's actually going to report to Experian. It'll report a zero, but you don't want to just cancel the order, because if you cancel the order, then it's not going to report. It's some glitch in their accounting system, but that's one way you can get a trade line. It's not going to show really payment experience, but it's going to kind of buffer your Experian report a little bit, you know, and it doesn't cost anything, essentially, you know. So just tell them that you'll, you know, pay for it yourself with a credit card, and you'll do it on their website, you know, when they call you, you know. So if you're trying to build Dun Bradstreet, Quail's another option they report. So then another thing you're going to want to do is go to merchantcircle.com. Merchant Circle, it's a like a local business directory. This is very important because underwriters, all the no PG underwriters, they will look at this. They will look and see if you're online, if you have an online presence. So if you're trying to get no PG business credit lines, if you don't have any online presence, you're not going to get approved. I can tell you that right now. In fact, even the KYC process or the KYB process, know your client, know your business. That's one of the things that even trying to get, say, First Internet Bank or Grasshopper Bank or even Blue Vine, sometimes they can deny you to even open up a business savings or a business checking account just because you don't have a website. So it depends on what the underwriter is, who the financial institution is. So these are all steps that only take your time. They don't cost anything. Some of them will try to upsell you, like, you know, sponsored listings, things like that. Just decline all that. Just register. That's all you have to do. So you just basically want to create an account with all of them and get them listed. Like one that's very important is the Better Business Bureau. So it's free to get registered and listed with Better Business Bureau, but they will fast track it and get you on there quicker if you pay their fee, but you don't need to do that. But Better Business Bureau is one that's very important. So you want to get reported or get listed on Better Business Bureau. Better Business Bureau also shares their data to LexisNexis. LexisNexis is kind of like a bureau, but more like information. And underwriters do pull LexisNexis legal research, and they check and make sure it's just one of the parts of underwriting. It's kind of like a bureau, but not really. It's more of a data warehouse more than anything. So that's very important. And then also you want to do this. You want to go on listyourself.net and list your business phone number. Make sure you do business, put in all the correct self-explanatory information, and make sure that it's not a Google Voice, and make sure it's not a iPostal address. So anybody that has any questions about further questions about any of this, if you're just starting off or you're already well established at either or, you can feel free to text me 937-423-9954. That's my personal cell phone number. Text, don't call, text, and then we can set up a free phone consultation. And I can give you some advice and see if, you'd be a good fit for the mentorship or not. But even if you just want some free advice, I don't mind helping you. But if you're listed with, you have a Google Voice or a forwarding number, or say even a prepaid cell phone, that's going to make it harder for you to get approved too for a lot of the no PG underwriters. So there's a lot of things that go into business credit that it's not about just getting trade lines. You need to make sure your rich filmographic data is correct as well. So when I accept new students, I have them fill out an intake form. That intake form is going to ask several questions, and that allows me to be able to do a full audit. So I'm going to be looking at all your reports. So I'm going to look and see all this data, for instance, and your corporate record. Make sure all that is right. And then what type of industry, make sure you don't have any high risk industry codes attached to anything as well. So there's a lot that goes into it if you're trying to achieve this, if you're trying to get that amount of cards, and I don't even recommend getting as much as I have. It's not necessary. You could get just get a stack of 20 or 30 cards and have them all be mainly no PG. That's better than going and getting as many as I have. I was the guinea pig, and I have 2 different businesses, but it also depends on what type of business that you're in and what type of business, what your goals are. For instance, I showed this before, but I'll show it again. A lot of people don't understand the power of gas cards, right? So let's see here, where's it at? So they have a lot of different cards. I'm trying to see where they have I had it pulled up earlier. Somewhere here it is. So this is all underwritten through a fleet core, which is the same as Corpay. But, they have the Fuel Man, right? Your Fuel Man MasterCard. But you guys see how there's 2 different ones here, right? See how the one says multi and then the other says fleet? See? So you can actually they will issue always the fleet card, right? If you get approved, fleet MasterCard. But you can actually get that unlocked, so then you get the multi. Once you have the multi, you can use that for anything. And then you can actually liquidate it 100%. So if you have a $30,000 limit, you could actually pull off that $30,000, leverage it. And they have other cards as well, like the Speedway Super Fleet, which is now the 7-Eleven card, because Speedway got bought out by 7-Eleven, but same, multi and fleet. So the goal is just these cards alone, 60,000 right here. Just 60,000. It's only 2 cards actually, because they're attached to the same account, right? But that's 60,000. And then same with the BP. Okay, the BP, it's also underwritten by them. And the max limit for Fleet Core cards is 30,000, with the exception of the Core Pay. Core Pay, your limit can be as high as $300,000. One of my students actually just got a $125,000 approval. Mine's only like 54,000 or 56,000, but that's how I was able to buy a house, 3 houses back in like 2021 or early 2023. I just liquidated these cards, used one or liquidated 2 to buy the properties, and then when it came time for them to be due, I liquidated other cards by them. So I essentially used their own money to pay them back. And what's nice about Fleet Core cards is they all report to the Experian directly every month on the 1st or the 2nd of the month. So they have Casey's, they have Argo. So my mentorship really is about being strategic. Not all my students have to do this, but there's ways you can even liquidate these cards even if you don't have them unlocked for multi-use. But it helps if you have 2 businesses, like say 2 LLCs. Then it makes it a lot easier to actually liquidate the gas cards if they're just fleet only, right? But back to this, you want to definitely get yourself listed. The Synchrony, like say the Lowe's card, even the Sam's Club, MasterCard, even though it's personal guarantee now, but even that card, any account with Synchrony now, you really need to be listed with the National Business Telecom Directory. So you need to be with, say, Spectrum or Verizon, AT&T. You need to be listed with all these different telecom directories. And there's no way to directly do it without doing this. It's a free service, but it's not going to get accepted if it's, say, a prepaid cell phone or a Google Voice number or forwarding number. It's not going to get accepted. So a lot of my students, they just open up like a T-Mobile account, a business account, and you can just get the SIM. Even if you don't get necessarily approved because of business credit, you still get approved for a line. You just get the SIM or the eSIM, and you just add it on your phone. It's simple as that. And then that's going to actually get reported as well. That reports to Equifax. And if you get a lease with the phone, say you qualify for, say, 2 or 3 lines, and you get a brand new, say, S25 or iPhone 17, well, then that's going to get you actually 2 trade lines. So that works with AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. But they typically all report to Equifax, but they will report to Experian. If you have the lease, it will report to Experian. And I believe that's just AT&T and Verizon, not T-Mobile. But T-Mobile is probably the cheapest. So you want to do that. And then another thing is you want to do Google Local. So you want to get listed with Google Local regardless. So you just type in Google My Business. And you just want to create your Google business profile. Keep in mind that you're not going to get accepted into Google Local, Google My Business profile if you're using like a UPS store or iPostal. It's just not going to happen. They're going to send a postcard, and that postcard is like a 6-digit number, basically confirm your business. But if you're using one of those high-risk addresses, they're going to tell you they want you to submit a video. You have to do a video, and they want to see that you have a business, your business name on the building. So that's why I always recommend people to use, if you're just starting off, get it, or you already have an iPostal address, then just get a Opus premium location. And actually we have $100 off. So anybody that's interested in that, just text me or email me and I'll get you the link. I think it might be in the description of some of my other videos as well, but it'll give you $100 off. But you want to make sure you pick a premium location, okay? So like Opus, So just going to give you guys examples. Say it's going to be 43123. Let's just say where I grew up in Columbus. See what they have. And I'll give you guys a real life example of how I would look at these addresses. So they have, like, say, 2 addresses here, right? So what I would always do is copy the address, go into Google, put the address there, and then look and see what comes up. So if you put in the address and something comes up right away that's like office, virtual office, you want to avoid that because underwriters will see that. But this address you can see is actually good because you can see there's real businesses. River Park Dental Aesthetics, Fire Dogs Junk Removal, and Clean Air Pros. And I'm sure these two, the junk removal, is not in this office building. I mean, it doesn't look like it's a junk removal. So it's a business inside here that Opus works with that is doing providing the mail service, right? Actually, you can see here, it's actually Brick House Blue Creative Workspaces Meeting Venues. So this would probably be okay. You just want to avoid the ones that are going to show right away, like you put in the address and it says, let's see about this one. I actually had a business registered at this location before, years back, because they have Regis there. But even Regis is not that great for a lot. But see what, this is a perfect example. See how the very first listing is virtual office? That's okay, but because it's a premium location, but I would still kind of avoid that. I'd much rather go with the Dublin one, which is like 10 minutes down the road, just because it's not showing virtual office. See, there's no virtual office that's coming up right away, you know. There's like office space for lease, things like that, but it's all good though, you know. That's an actual good address that I would say. So there's a lot of science that goes into building your business credit. You want to do things the right way. That's the whole point of my one-on-one business credit mentorship, because I dissect all this. I have some students that came to me before they even started a business because they didn't want to make any mistakes. They made mistakes in the past and they were having problems getting funding in the past. So then they came to me and I helped them even pick their business name. I'll look up like unique names like, you know, Arbor West Solutions LLC. It's a very vague, broad name, and it's not going to be listed as high risk, and the underwriter is not going to know right off the gate what type of business you're in, which you want underwriters to know little as possible. You don't, if you're doing real estate investing, you don't want to have investing or real estate in your business name. You want to keep things vague as possible. That will help you get approved. So another thing you want to do is get listed with a Chamber of Commerce. So every state and local region has their own charter, but you can just go on uschamber.com and then join your chapter. You definitely want to get listed for sure. It's basically, I think, a support Chamber of Commerce. And you basically can just make a either a small donation or even if it's $10. But you definitely want to get a membership. And it's pretty self-explanatory how to get a membership, but you definitely want to get listed with Chamber of Commerce because it further shows that you're a legitimacy when it comes down to being credible to these no PG underwriters. When it comes to the no personal guarantee underwriters, because it's all no PG, they give you, say, you know, say ramp. Say they approve you for $50,000. What's to stop you from taking $50,000 out and then closing your business bank account? They have no recourse. So of course, when they're doing their underwriting, they want to make sure that they're not taking on that much risk. And how you can mitigate that is by doing these steps. These steps are free. It doesn't cost anything to make yourself look 10 times bigger than you are and make yourself look very credible, you know. You should do this regardless of trying to get business credit or not, because all these things will help you even with Google SEO, your website ranking, if you're in a service business, whatever it may be, you know. But I would definitely get CEO Creative and Coast to Coast. So what that's going to do, besides having Nav and eCredible and Fair Figure, that right there is going to get you 1, 2, 3. Well, it depends, because Fair Figure actually has 2 different types of trade lines too. If you get approved for their card funding, the Fair Figure Lift, then that could be potentially 2 trade lines reported. And Nav has the Nav and Nav Prime card. So if you get basically a net 1-day card, that's reported too as 2 trade lines. So just between these 3, you could have 5 trade lines reporting. But let's just assume that you don't qualify for that, because even like Nav Prime card, if you're in California, it's not allowed. Like, you can only get the Nav Prime monitoring account, which still is 1 trade line. But let's just say that's 3 trade lines. Then you have trade line reporting, CEO Creative. They handle your website or whatever. Or you can get T-shirts. They have custom T-shirts. Okay, so that's 4 trade lines, and then you get Coast to Coast office supply. So that's 5 trade lines right there, going to be reported just on your Experian. But then you're going to have 3 reported to Dun & Bradstreet. Then you're going to have 5 reported to Equifax and 3 reported to Credit Safe. So that's going to build you solid foundation and cost you very little money. You know, you could do this for less than, like, I think $150, you know. But then I would definitely set up your get Merchant Circle, yellowpages.com. They're all free to do. Data Axle, Better Business Bureau, Manta, the Google My Business. And then also, of course, make sure your number is listed with the National Telecom Database. Typically takes anywhere from 3 to 5 business days for them to give you confirmation, but it's free to do as well. So that, in a nutshell, will get you a good solid foundation. But let me go through the questions real quick, because I have to get off here. But just real quick, you guys, here's some of the fintechs. There's Ramp, there's Expensify, there's Revenued, there's PEX. Actually, Magic, or Major Magic, this is one you could actually do. You asked about a prepaid card or a secured card. PEX offers where if you don't qualify for their expense card, it's up to $2 million they approve, and you get 1% cash back. But the PEX on a budget, this one is actually like a secured card. Okay, so that's an option. And then you have the Corpay card. And then you have the Flex One. And this, you can actually get up to like 60 days to pay. Then you got Divvy. Then there's the Float card. These are all fintechs. And then you have Row. Then there's Finally. A lot of my students recently getting approved from anywhere from like 1,000 up to, I think one was like 35,000, 36,000. Then Jeeves, that's... Also, I would get A to B if you're trying to get something. I would try to get A to B as well. So here's the Jeeves card. So they stopped offering credit lines like 2 years ago, but now they offer them again. So this is another fintech, and they actually give higher than normal limits. And then there's FinFair as well. So FinFair is another one. And then there's a fairly new one. It's called Rippling. And then there's ClearCard. So here's like 10 fintechs right there, and they will give you limits anywhere from a couple thousand, and it could be as high as like 250,000. Depends on so many different factors. But none of these are going to approve you. Also, like the Parker card, but it's built for e-commerce in particular. And then there's also like Toolbox as well. And I'm not even mentioning all, there's tons of them out there, but those are all the main ones. Expensify is going to be your easiest one. They look just strictly at your business bank account balance, not so much time in business. But there's all this really is like a science. That's why people choose to join my mentorship, but I don't accept everybody. So you're going to have to just text me, 937-423-9954. I'm in the Philippines, so it's only 9 o'clock right now, 9:20 right now. And I actually have to get off here in a minute because I had a consultation like 15 minutes ago. But text me, and then I can go over everything with you and see if you'd be a good fit or not. But really, if you don't want to make any mistakes, then the mentorship probably is your best bet. I have a client portal, and then like this is like what's inside. I would tell you exact tasks, what to do, but it is customized one by one based on your goals, your situation, and it's not just credit lines. I may tell you, hey, I need you to go get registered with the Better Business Bureau, or create a credit safe account. You know, it just depends on the audit. So you have to do the audit first, and that's the step one. You're going to fill this form out. It's just basic information. I don't ask for social security numbers, anything like that. It's just your business information. So then I can do the whole full business credit audit. And then I also pull LexisNexis legal research as well. And I'm looking at everything as a whole. And then based on that, then I'm going to give you 5 to 7 initial tasks to do in the client portal. And it should take you maybe anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour of your time per week doing the custom tasks that I assign for you, okay? So that way you're not going to make any mistakes, you know? So it's hard to get this much credit if you're just guessing, because there's a lot of like vendor trade lines out there you don't need, and half of them don't even report to any bureaus. They lost their data furnishing license, you know. So let me go through this real quick. You have a sole prop, and you're just trying to build up new credit. 4 years established, finding out LLCs. That LLCs. Yeah, a sole prop is like you're not going to get anything. It's 100%. A sole prop is 100% based on your personal credit period. You're not going to get, even if you have an EIN for your sole prop, it's still going to be based 100% on your personal credit period. Having an LLC separates that 100%. You know, sometimes you can have bad personal credit and still get some of these fintechs like. You could get potentially 100,000 just with these cards alone, and you could have bad personal credit and still get approved as long as you have a strong Experian, or your Experian business credit. You have a good account mix. So, sorry guys, I have ADHD and Parkinson's disease, so sometimes I ramble a little too fast. But yeah. And as far as my mentorship goes, I don't go over pricing on the live or anything like that. I send that to you in an email after I do a phone consultation. But I have different pricing, 12 weeks, 16 weeks, 26 weeks, 52 weeks. And then there's discounts if you do, say, a one-time payment. But I do offer payment plans as well. It's called a Flex Line. So you have a flexible payment option where you can make a small down payment and then you pay at your own pace. But anyways, I have to get off here. Let's see here. I'll answer the last question. What address should I use? I have a postal type place that has a street address or my home. I would use Opus 100%, and just send me a text so I can give you the the Opus link that's going to actually save you, because they charge setup fee, but with my link you won't get charged any setup fee, so it'll save you $99. It's usually in all my videos too. The link's probably going to be, probably not in this live, but other videos if you look in the description. But anyways, Louis, thanks so much, appreciate that. But yeah, you guys go ahead and text me. I have to get off here now. I have this other phone consultation, but I'll be doing phone consultations typically up until about midnight Pacific Standard Time, because I'm 12 hours ahead Eastern Standard Time here in the Philippines. But anyways, sorry it's so short, but until next time, you guys take care. If you're just tuning in, give the video a thumbs up and hit subscribe, turn all notifications on. And again, if you're just tuning in and you want to learn more about getting business credit, getting approved, all no PG, then just reach out, text me for a free phone consultation if you are interested in my one-on-one. But if not, watch my past videos too. Those are very helpful. I have them of, I think, 500 videos out there, and most of them are still relevant. So, and again, if you're just tuning in, after this live, watch the replay because I did cover quite a bit in a matter of 45 minutes. Okay. All right, until next time, you guys take care. Again, watch the live replay. All right, as soon as I end, it should be available to watch the replay, okay? You guys